In my last video, I covered a slice of life topic between Rainbow Dash, Scootaloo, and Lightning Dust. And given the possibilities between these three, I believe it could make for a good episode. But there are still more slice of life concepts that have potential for interesting stories. Even though Season 3 brought us some insights into Rainbow's character growth, there were a few elements in Season 3 that seemed lacking. I realized that the writers had only 13 episodes to work with, instead of the normal 26. But there seemed to be some missed opportunities in the Season 3 mix. First off, I am glad that we got a couple more episodes where Applejack was at least part of the main focus. She really does need something more to develop her character. I already have a lot of respect for Applejack, and I appreciate seeing her being the wise, hardworking, and dependable pony that she is, but I really think that she could use a little more variety to her character. Secondly, Rarity really didn't get much chance to stand out in Season 3. She never even got to be the focus of an episode. I was disappointed that she kind of took a secondary role throughout the entire season. So she really needs some focus brought back to her in the future. And even more than that, when you combine Applejack and Rarity in an episode, they create a rather interesting dynamic to their stories, as seen in both Look Before You Sleep and Sisterhood Social. Thirdly, there needs to be a little more variety to the CMC-centered episodes. A lot of their focus in the past has come down to their adventures in finding their cutie marks. And while that story element still has potential, there needs to be something else added to the mix in order to make their journeys more interesting. I do look forward to seeing what their cutie marks will end up being someday, but when we keep hearing about their escapades on trying some wacky new activity, it starts to get a little old. Now, looking way back into the first season, there are some hints as to what the CMC's cutie marks might be. During the Showstoppers, we see that the CMC are trying many different activities to get their cutie marks to appear. But as per usual, they keep running into dead ends. However, when a talent show comes along, the CMC see it as their big chance to try something new. And each of them have their own ideas on what they should be doing. Sweetie Belle is trying to follow in her sister's footsteps by making the designs, and Scootaloo wants to write the music, leaving Apple Bloom to create some dance choreography. And while they are trying to put these ideas together, we get a sense that each of them may not be doing what they are best at. They are certainly doing something that they are each interested in, but maybe not something that they have a natural talent for. However, when each of them actually finds a moment to help out with someone else's ideas, we start to notice that there may be some natural talent here after all. Apple Bloom actually has some understanding about how to design. Sweetie Belle seems to have a bit of a gift for music, and Scootaloo has already shown us that she can come up with some impressive moves. As to whether these hints to a natural talent will one day become their cutie marks, I really don't know. It would be easy to make something like this happen in the future, and it would make a lot of sense for the CMC. However, I like to think that the writers for MLP would actually make their journeys a bit more complicated than that in order to make for a more interesting storyline. But the fact that Apple Bloom may have a natural talent for design and Sweetie Belle may have a natural talent for music could make for an interesting story. And again, all these elements that I have mentioned could be made much more powerful if they were combined into one story. Giving Applejack a chance to learn something different, Rarity the chance to be part of the focus in an episode again, and give both Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle a chance to do something that they may actually be good at. Imagine a story that begins at the Carousel Boutique. Rarity is busy coming up with some new designs when Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom come in to investigate. Rarity seems stuck on what needs to be added in order to give a dress that perfect bit of flair when Sweetie Belle starts making some wild suggestions. Rarity tries to be polite when she dismisses her sister's ideas and even starts suggesting that they go off and play elsewhere. That is until Apple Bloom comes up with a suggestion that throws Rarity off guard. Realizing that Apple Bloom may actually have some real creativity and know-how, she starts asking what Apple Bloom would add to some of the other dresses in the room. At first, Apple Bloom seems hesitant, since this is not something that she normally does. But with Rarity's special brand of insistence, Apple Bloom starts to realize that there may be something to this. Sweetie Belle would still be trying to come up with some suggestions to help her sister, but doesn't seem to have the knack for it. And thus Rarity and Apple Bloom would actually begin to spend a little more time together, while Sweetie Belle would feel a little left out. And at the same time, Applejack would start to realize that Apple Bloom is beginning to neglect her chores around the farm in order to spend more time at the Carousel Boutique. This would create a bit of conflict between Applejack and Applebloom. Applejack would be torn between the close bond that she shares with her sister and the family tradition of apple farming. Trying to deal with the fact that Applebloom is starting to enjoy something that is completely different to anything her family has ever known would be difficult for Applejack to comprehend. But at the same time, I can see Applejack being able to put aside her stubborn nature for her sister's sake, even though it would take a little effort. And with Sweetie Belle feeling a bit ignored, and with how much she has enjoyed spending time with Applejack in the past, I can imagine the two of them going back to the farm to do some work. Of course, Sweetie Belle wouldn't know much about how to do chores on the farm, but Applejack would be patient and likely enjoy the company anyways. While trying to corral some farm animals with her usual nature, Applejack might be having a little difficulty getting them to listen. Until Sweetie Belle tries her best in calming the animals with singing a soothing song that she makes up on the spot. Something that even Applejack is very impressed with. After hearing Sweetie Belle's gift with music, Applejack might actually start to encourage Sweetie Belle to start using her gift more often. Of course, Sweetie Belle has already shown herself to be shy about singing in front of other ponies, but using it in front of animals instead could help her to be a little more confident. And Applejack also has a knack for bringing out another pony's self-confidence with her calm and positive attitude. Of course, this wouldn't be like the gift that Fluttershy has with her animals, but rather this would be something that would help Sweetie Belle to realize that she has a natural gift for music. And this could end up creating a lesson that both Applejack and Rarity could learn. With each of them spending a great deal of time with their younger sisters in the past, it would be a bit of a shock to the two of them when they realized that all their previous efforts weren't what their sisters needed in order to discover their gifts. It is certainly one thing to be a good example for a sibling, but there are still times when you may have to discover that someone else may be a better influence in helping that sibling to grow. Applejack has spent many years caring for Applebloom, even being the closest thing to a mother that Applebloom has now. And Rarity has taken some steps in putting aside her own nature in order to show her sister some empathy, which has also made her more sensitive to the needs of others. But it would take a great deal of maturity to accept the fact that someone else may be a better influence in bringing out the natural gifts of the sisters they care so much about. There comes a point in every child's life where continued oversight from parents or guardians becomes more of a limiting factor than a source of growth. Young children, fillies or colts, have an inherent need for structure, guidance, and oversight. Without clear structure, young children often have great difficulty emerging from the self-centered stage in their lives. Loving parents, guardians, or mentors are an essential part of their growth and eventual maturity. However, as that maturity begins to emerge, then the child's development is better served by gradually allowing more and more independence and autonomy. Equipped with maturity and self-discipline, these youth often go forth and surprise their parents or mentors by exhibiting previously untapped potential and talents, which would never have emerged had they remained under their protective wings. With this story, it would give both Applejack and Rarity a chance to grow more as characters, while giving them another opportunity for their polar opposite personalities to clash a bit. And at the same time, it would give at least two members of the CMC a chance to discover their natural talents while still feeling different from many of their previous episodes. And while I still don't think that these activities would give either one of them a cutie mark, I do think it would help both Applebloom and Sweetie Belle get a bit more depth to their characters. Overall, though, I'd rather hear what each of you think. Does this slice of life concept work within the context of MLP? Would this kind of story be enjoyable to watch? Do you think that the CMC should be discovering something that they can be good at? Or do you prefer to see more of the wild escapades with trying to find their cutie marks? I would like to hear your thoughts on each of these characters, and what would make them more interesting in the future. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.